Good morning, folks. Today is Monday, May 9th. Welcome to First Things First, Simply Cyber's daily morning cybersecurity threat briefing. I'm your host, Gerald, and over the next 30 minutes, I'll be delivering the top cybersecurity news of the day and providing expert analysis on each of these stories. What it means to you as a practitioner, or if you're looking to break into the industry, definitely value here for everybody. Shout out and thanks to this stream sponsor, the one and only Barricade Cyber Solutions. Cyber criminals have stolen your company's data and derailed your business operations. Barricade Cyber Solutions will help you resolve this ransomware attack and get your business back on track. I want to remind you, if you hold professional certifications that require CPEs, each episode of First Things First, just like this one, is worth a half a CPE. So they stack up 2.5 a week, 10 a month. In no time at all, you'll be getting those pesky CPEs out of your hair and being like, what's up? So make sure that you drop a comment in chat or on LinkedIn or wherever, and it'll get baked into the feed here of the show. And if you ever get audited, you can just point right to that and ask them if there's anything else that you can help them with, or can you please get back to work? Although I've had all these certs for over a decade and I've never been audited. Not that I would have got caught doing anything wrong, but long story short, I don't know anyone that's been audited, but just leave a chat so you get credit no matter what. If you're live, love it. I see you 35 people staggering in here on a Monday after a long, well, it wasn't a long weekend, but it was long in the sense that there was a lot going on. Mother's Day. Hopefully all the mothers in the Simply Cyber community got their time and their appreciation. And for everybody that has a mother in Simply Cyber's community, hopefully you called them, hugged them, told them you loved them. I've got a timer going right here, which I totally forgot. So if you're on replay, thanks for catching the stream on replay. It looks like we're getting 400 or 500 people watching it after the fact. But you know the routine, y'all. If you want to jump right to the news story and cut out the pleasantries, take that timer, scrub to the right until it hits 0, roughly, and we will dig right into the stories. But for the next 2 minutes and 37 seconds, I'll be sipping my coffee and welcoming folks into stream. So hello, everybody. How is the Monday? How's the week looking? You guys lined up for a good week, everybody? Hello, Ala Eldin. Kimberly, good to see you. Cybersecurity Central, always here representing. Had your shirt on the Friday streams. Thanks, Ed, on the CPEs. Yes. Oh, you have been audited by ISC Squared. All right. Well, then you know the routine. Definitely saying what's up. Hey, Carrie, good to see you. Guys, on this odyssey that's become the audio of Simply Cyber, I swear to God, the audio is like a co-host. It's like Ed McMahon sitting off camera. It's like, audio. I think we're going to fail today. I've got the mic up here. I've turned the gain way up. So now my booming voice should crush right into that. Hey, Nick Barker and Callie. Jax, good to see you. Always there. Hey, Christopher Word. Eula Chula, I see you. Josh Mason, welcome back from San Diego, friend. Listen, the mic's off camera. I've got the gain turned up. Instead of having the music from the iPad and the podcast from the iPad and me dinking with the dial, I've just got the lo-fi ambiance music or whatever cracking in the background at level 14. I can bump it up a little bit if we need to. The idea is that there's some noise underneath me while I'm talking, so it's a little less, dry, I guess. Hey, Mark Lester, good to see you. Joshua Gruner, Ryan, good to see you, man. All right. I mean, this ambiance music is like, it sounds like a spa though. Like nothing gets me jacked up to talk about cybersecurity and pound coffee like spa music. Let's try chill hop. See what happens there. Going to 15. Let's see what happens. Hey, Mubaris. Usha, good to see you. You're here for today's audio. That's right. Hey, Edward Driver. Always nice to see you. William Helso. Hello. Aaron Martin. Peter Parker. A regular. We got 35 seconds, guys. Hopefully, everybody. Happy Mother's Day to the mothers in the community. Very, 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 very great holiday. I'm glad that it's a point. Love the coffee. So much coffee. Yeah, spa music. Yes, come in. Let me verbally massage you as we as I put you to sleep with the top cybersecurity headlines of the day. Hey, what's going on? All right, guys. Enough pleasantries. We got the coffee. We got the timer. We're ready to rock and roll. Justin Gold, hope the car situation's good. Same with you, Pamela. I know you're in there. All right, guys. So if you want to play along, go on to cisoseries.com. David Spark and his gang, they do a great job with that. I'm going to leave the spa music or the chill hop playing underneath this just to see if how it works with the podcast and everything. And if it's a problem, we'll cut it. This is us, okay? Gary, 101 days without coffee. I'm like 30 seconds without coffee. That's about my my threshold. All right, guys, cisoseries.com. Let's get into it.
It's cybersecurity headlines.
It's Monday, May 9th, 2022. Google Play now blocks paid app downloads and updates in Russia. This block from the Google Play Store starts Thursday and is due to ongoing sanctions. Russian developers can still publish and update free apps, with users still allowed to download them from the store. However, all updates to paid apps will be automatically blocked. While users can no longer pay for subscriptions, Google suggests that developers can grant subscription billing grace periods and free trials.
That's interesting. So I find this interesting. Okay, so effective Thursday this week or someday in the it says now. So I guess maybe as of last Thursday, they blocked paid app downloads and updates, but free apps, freemium models, all that stuff, those are still available. A couple weird things here. One, that's interesting. It's interesting because Google's the one who's getting the money, right? So they're blocking getting money, but they're still allowing people to use the free stuff. That seems kind of antithesis of a capitalistic model. And I get because it's Russia, they're trying to pull out, but like, why not pull fully out versus just the paid apps and updates? From a cybersecurity perspective, the one thing that got my antenna up on this one is that no updates. So like, you paid for an app and it's got a security vulnerability that's pretty gnarly, and you're not going to get an update for it. So you either choose to stop using it or you use it at risk. Very interesting. I'd be curious how this works. I mean, again, it's obviously from it's because of the obviously the conflict in Ukraine, but okay. This looks like it's not because of, this may not be because of sanctions. It says a payment system disruption, so they may have suffered a technical issue that doesn't allow them to do that. Or the sanctions are specific that they're not allowed to make money off of Russia during the sanction period, but free, there's no money, so they can do that. All right. So long story short, there isn't much of a story here other than the fact that people with paid apps in Russia aren't going to get security updates. So that's a pretty niche area of people in the Simply Cyber community, but be mindful of it. It also goes to show you that Google could just stop doing something like this, which has major ramifications.
Releases updated guidance for defending against supply chain attacks.
Yeah, my NIST people.
Titled the Cybersecurity Supply Chain Risk Management Practices for Systems and Organizations, the guidance from the National Institute of Standards and Technology details risks at all levels of organizations and provides information about major security controls and practices that organizations should adopt to identify, assess, and respond to these threats. The document includes specific warnings, such as the need for diligence towards devices that may have been designed in one country with its components manufactured across multiple countries worldwide, resulting in a dramatic enlargement of the surface of attacks for organizations.
All right, this is awesome. Okay, guys, you know I'm a NIST lover. Okay, here's a couple things. 1-800-161-R1, right? This is the Cybersecurity Supply Chain Risk Management Practices for Systems and Organizations. Just rolls off the tongue. This is buttery smooth title. I'm being slightly sarcastic, okay? Check it out. This document, as far as I can tell, is how you can implement and operationalize management of supply chain risk with respect to cybersecurity. This is a huge area. Guys, we are in this, I mean, we're starting to decouple from China a little bit, but we are in this massive global economy, parts pieces coming in from everywhere, assembly integration in the United States, right? Like supply chain, well, in cloud systems, like supply chain is a major area of risk that for years, like I'd say like 10 years ago, it was a risk area and people didn't really understand it. 5 years ago, it's a risk area and people understood it, but they really didn't know how to do anything with it. We saw NIST Cybersecurity Framework version 1.2. The major change they added from 1.1 to 1.2 was adding a supply chain risk category with a bunch of controls under it. Okay. So supply chain risk is a serious thing. If you are a CISO, if you are a GRC analyst, I mean, if you're really a cybersecurity practitioner or someone who's responsible for cybersecurity at an organization, you should be interested in this. But specifically, CISOs and GRC analysts, you should, it's free, by the way. This is a lot of intellectual capital made free to you. You should totally dig into this document. I will dig into this document. I might even do a special Simply Cyber video on this on this document, because this document is very important. And they say in the story here that one of the authors, John Bowens, who typically, by the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but typically the first author's name is the lead author, the one who was like most responsible or, quarterbacked the whole document. That's a typical convention with documentation. He said here, this is if your organization hasn't started on supply chain risk, cybersecurity supply chain risk, this is a comprehensive tool to, I know you can't see, hold on. It's a tool that can take you from crawl, walk, run and can do it immediately. So this is huge value, guys. This isn't some thought piece on how we can do something in a bunch of like bloated, posturing. This is a tool that tells you how to do things. I bet you there's like some great graphics in here. Oh yeah, look at this. NIST is always good for some great graphics. I love the graphics. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to dig into this and let you know what I find. But way to go, NIST, and way to go, us, for having tools that can help us, okay?
U.S. State Department offers $10 million reward for information about Conti members.
I wish I had
In
information on
addition
Conti.
to this reward, which is for any information that leads to the identification or location of people connected to the notorious Conti ransomware gang, an additional $5 million reward is also being offered for any information that leads to the arrest or conviction of a Conti member. In a statement on Friday, State Department spokesperson Ned Price said the group has been behind hundreds of ransomware attacks over the last 2 years. Specifically, as of January 2022, there had been over 1,000 victims of attacks associated with Conti ransomware, with victim payouts exceeding $150 million, making the Conti ransomware variant the costliest strain of ransomware ever documented.
All right. So now we're talking real money, guys. I don't know about you, but it says 10 million, but if the guy gets arrested or the woman gets arrested, it's 5 million more. $15 million. I think I could do okay with $15 million. I could do a couple things with $15 million. I'd still do Simply Cyber, but it might be a beach background, not this background. This is real money, guys. This State Department is on the hunt. Now, what's interesting, two things that I find interesting. One, $10 million will get someone to narc on someone, right? That's significant money. The only problem is if you are the one who's the recipient of this $10 million reward, you're going to be well known by definitely the U.S. State Department. So they're going to continue to ask you for more information. It's not like you get your $10 million and you boogie out of there. And the Conti gang is probably going to figure out who you are. And now you've got, like, you can still live on that beach, but you've got to sleep with one eye open and probably not comfortably. Although you could probably afford like a really sweet security system and a bodyguard, but that's beside the point. The other thing that I want to point out is I find it interesting. This is more of a federal government macro level thing. I find it interesting that the U.S. State Department is having to offer a multi-million-dollar reward for these people. Like, we have one of the most advanced intelligence capabilities in the world. The United States does, and we're having to like put Conti people on like, post office wanted signs with $10 million reward, dead or alive. I'm sure it's alive, but my point is, I just find it always vexes me that we have like a 1A intelligence capability in the US, but we have to do stuff like this. like, it makes me think that the State Department isn't talking to the NSA, or the NSA doesn't want to play with the State Department, or it's a posturing thing. I don't know. People who worked in the federal space, I've heard some stories and stuff about inner politics among departments. But anyways, long story short, I wouldn't be surprised to hear a Conti gang arrest sometime in the next, 45 days, simply because this is real money that can really change people. And by the way, it's assumed that Conti is a Russian based um, ransomware gang based on a couple things, like the Conti leaks, the proclamation for Russia's side in the Russian-Ukrainian war. Like the economy of Russia, as far as I know, right? So let me caveat that. As far as I know, from what I've heard, the economy is getting decimated over there because of all these sanctions and companies pulling out and all this other stuff. So like 10 million US dollars, that is a lifeline for a lot of, I mean, for many people who aren't even in dire straits. But when you're in dire straits, it's even more compelling. So like I said, I would think 30 to 45 days we might hear something.
Caramel credit card stealing service is growing in popularity. This new service was discovered by Domain Tools, which states that the platform is operated by a Russian cybercrime organization named Caramel Corp. This service supplies low-skilled threat actors with a skimmer script, deployment instructions, and a campaign management panel. The service only sells to Russian-speaking threat actors using an initial vetting process that excludes those using machine translation or those who are inexperienced in this field. A lifetime subscription costs $2,000 and promises Russian-speaking hackers full customer support, code upgrades, and evolving anti-detection measures.
Wow. Okay, so this is, basically malware as a service ish, right? So we've seen a lot of these models, right? So malware as a service where you pay per infection. We talked about that last week on First Things First. We've talked about um ransomware as a service ad nauseum. In fact, Conti ransomware is one of the lead, early adopters of ransomware as a service model, um, when they were, well, allegedly when they were Ryuk. But here's the deal. This right here is another kind of skimmer as a service where they are allowing script kiddies, or people who are not advanced, you know, offensive hacker security professionals, whatever you want to call it, like the offensive security people. They provide you a script that you can download. They provide you a step by step process on how to do it. They do caveat it that it's for Russians only. So I don't know if that's for OPSEC for the operators of the Caramel credit skimming company, or if, like I just mentioned, how Russians are being decimated economically, if this is an opportunity that they don't want to get saturated by everybody. They want to make it a viable financial revenue stream for potential Russians who are impacted. I don't know. But for $2,000, lifetime subscription for $2,000, which they say is not cheap, but dude, $2,000, you can make that up pretty quickly. I will say that credit card companies are pretty good at detecting fraud. But dude, this is a full service thing, right? They've got, here's a JavaScript obfuscator, so when you're dumping JavaScript into the HTML, it's hidden, right? So it's a credit card skimmer, right? So what they're doing is, as you put your credit card in, you make your transaction, but it also sucks up the 16-digit code, the expiration date, the 3-digit pin on the back, potentially, or I would assume your name, obviously, and it sucks it up, and they start having a list of valid credit cards. Now, once you get those credit cards, you either, I mean, you can try to do credit card fraud for yourself. You can bundle them up and sell them as a list of viable credit cards. One other type of scam I've seen is someone will create like, how do you monetize the credit cards once you've stolen them? Another technique I've seen is you self-publish a book on Amazon, right? Like the book has nothing in it, so it's not like Cybersecurity Career Master Plan book that me and Jackson, John, and Kim wrote. Check it out on Amazon. It's just a book. It just says book, 500 pages, full of crap. No one is ever going to buy it. It's not designed to be bought by anyone. and they market like $4,000 for the book, and then they go on Amazon with a credit card and they buy it. And because like I shop a lot at Amazon, so if my credit card got stolen and made a credit card purchase at Amazon, it's likely not to get flagged because it looks like a legit purchase that I make all the time. It would be incumbent upon me to see my credit card transaction and be like, what the hell is this? A $4,000 Amazon? And then now I have to initiate the fraud response and stuff like that. So these are just some of the techniques to monetize the stolen credit card. So there are well established ways of doing it. And just be aware that this company, this threat actor group, has basically identified a way to bundle up a complete service and sell it to someone who doesn't understand much about technology and start making money on it. And they're selling it for $2,000 a rip, right? So I mean, not good for them, but that's a nice fixed cost where they could say, how many people did we get this week? We got 10 people. All right, we made 20 grand. Simple. All right.
And now a word from our sponsor, Datadog. You can watch the on-demand webinar now to learn how to get full stack security for your production environment.
Oh,
Just go to
here's a write-up by Domain Tools that you can check out too. It's pretty
That's
cool.
datadoghq.com.
Cryptocurrency.
CISO. Cryptocurrency regulators are scrambling to catch up with hackers who are swiping billions. 2022 is already a banner year for hackers and fraudsters who have swindled more than $1 billion from cryptocurrency investors, according to separate estimates by cryptocurrency analysis firm Immunify. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, which has positioned itself as the industry's main regulator and enforcer, will be doubling its staff. Meanwhile, other agencies, including the Commodity Futures Trading Commission and individual states like New York, have also ramped up enforcement of regulations applicable to the industry. One point of scrutiny they agree upon is cybersecurity.
Yeah, cybersecurity is a buzzword. Okay, here, check it out.
I'm a crypto evangelist. I love it, love it, love it.
All right, guys. So all of us, right? We live in the stream, right? We're like got our finger on the pulse of all this crap. So this isn't going to sound like news to us, but for the greater majority of people, this whole crypto thing, it's just like, oh, the Bitcoin, the like Ethereum's like a well-known name, but that's not even mainstream with a lot of people. So the SEC is obviously concerned about this because people are using cryptocurrency to hide money, to like commit fraud all over the place. Like I said, I've done a lot. I mean, I've done what I consider enough research in the crypto NFT space to understand what the fraud situation looks like from a peer-to-peer type fraud. So this is good. I don't know. Steve Cardinal, good friend of mine, the guy who I used to do the InfoSec ICU podcast with. If you've been with me for more than 5 years here, he's not big on big government. You can make your own argument one way or the other about whether or not big government's a good idea on regulating financial type stuff. But what they're talking about is doing this, and frankly, I'm glad they're doing it because it's the Wild West. I've made this analogy before. It's the Wild West, people. There's no rules. There's no safety for the uninitiated who don't really understand what they're doing, and they can very easily get taken advantage of. Criminal organizations can operate at a much more agile level and share stuff. I mean, look at Silk Road underground marketplace that used Bitcoin for transacting drugs, murder for hire, these type of things. So I will say one story I did see over the weekend that was really interesting, and I'm going to see if I can pull it up on the fly here. It's the Blender service, regulated crypto currency regulation. I don't know. Like basically, yeah, here we go. Check this out. U.S. Treasury, this is over the weekend. U.S. Treasury issued by the way, like, it's so confusing to me in the United States, right? So the SEC is the one who's in this story about scrambling to catch up with regulations, but then the U.S. Treasury is issuing sanctions on virtual currency mixers. But basically, they called out Blender.io here. This is a website you can go to. It's not like dark web or anything, but Blender.io is basically a company that allows you to like take your Bitcoin money in your Bitcoin wallet and put it into the Blender, and it'll like shake it all up and it'll push it to other Bitcoin wallets, and Bitcoin wallets will trade with you. So think of it as like putting a pea underneath like 3 walnut shells and doing this guy, except there's like 30,000 walnut shells and there's peas under all of them. And it's like, that's my pea. This is Kimberly's pea. This is Ed's pea. And then we all cycle them around. And then I just know that I've got $32 million worth of peas underneath the pot, underneath the shell. So then when I lift up a shell, there's $32 million there. It's not really my Bitcoin that I started with. It's completely made up of other Bitcoin stuff, but it makes it incredibly difficult to trace. You can trace it because it's all registered on the blockchain, but it's very difficult and to do that quickly and well. And we're seeing Lazarus Group, if you remember, APT 39, North Korea's like basically financial crime group. They're basically like what's his face? Robert De Niro in Heat. Great movie. Best bank heist scene I've ever seen in my life. Anyways, their Lazarus Group is doing that, and they just stole like $540 million from the Axie Ronan Bridge a couple weeks ago that we talked about on First Things First. And frankly, the United States is just annoyed by these blender services, mixer services, making it difficult to track down that money. So they're introducing regulation to kind of slow it down. So between this and everything else, we're just seeing a tightening of regulation around the use of crypto. It's no surprise, guys. The whole thing behind crypto at its base is that it's supposed to be decentralized and not have centralized government or centralized regulation, centralized all that stuff, which is great in theory, but obviously when it's being used for criminal means, the government has a obligation to protect its citizens, and it's an opportunity, frankly, for them to get involved and maybe overreach. So there's an argument for both sides. Long story short, the United States is getting involved from a regulation perspective.
U.S. agricultural machinery manufacturer Agco suffers ransomware attack. Agco, AGCO, a worldwide manufacturer and distributor of agricultural equipment, has announced a ransomware attack that has impacted some of its production facilities. The company did not provide any details about the attack and is still investigating the extent of the security breach. They state that the incident will affect business operations for several days and potentially longer before they fully resume all services. Recently, the FBI had warned food and agriculture sector partners about increased ransomware activity aimed at disrupting the growing season.
Yeah. Okay. A couple of things really quick. I'm looking back at the chat here. Josh Mason said that those blenders are easy to recreate really quickly and map together what the distribution of where the Bitcoins went. Maybe that is the case. I have to imagine that if the U.S. Treasury is sanctioning the use of those services, that there is something about it that is making it difficult to trace, or else I don't understand why they would care. Yes, and you're welcome, Jim Lund, on the anti-money laundering. I love fraud. I love studying fraud. I find it compelling and interesting. Now, let's get into this agriculture thing. Okay, so Agco, they're a worldwide manufacturer and distributor of agriculture equipment, right? Now, we did talk last week about NIST. No. CISA and DHS had notified us that there was an uptick in ransomware activity potentially targeting agricultural, right? And we talked like, oh, is that really such a bad thing? Not is that, oh my God. Not that it is such a bad thing, but how does that impact us? What's the real ramifications? How big is that area? Well, despite what they had been warned about, Agco suffered a ransomware breach. Now, I want to point something out really quickly because it might be easy on the outside looking in to be like, fools, you were warned. Okay, guys, worldwide manufacturer and distributor of agriculture equipment. Let's just say if it's worldwide, let's be real. Let's just say that it has 2 facilities, one in the US and one in Europe. So that would be worldwide distributor. The fact that it's publicly traded company leads me to believe it's probably quite larger, but let's just say for the sake of this discussion that it's got 2 facilities and a distribution channel. So they bring in raw product, they add some value to it, they merge it, whatever it is, and then they send it out, right? So think of John Deere ordering raw parts, building tractors, shipping them out, right? Getting back to supply chain, guys, supply chain. it's very difficult. Even if I told Agco 2 weeks ago, listen, you will suffer a ransomware attack on May 5th. You will suffer one, 100% guarantee. They may not have been able to even prevent it at that point. It's very difficult, guys. This is why I am blue in the face telling people, like, dude, you shouldn't be responding to ransomware like once you have an imminent threat. You should be implementing a pragmatic, structured, maturable cybersecurity program with layers, right? Defense in depth of protection and your ability to recover, right? How quickly can you recover? Have you practiced recovery? Do you have the communication channel set up so people know what's going on? Do you know what order to recover systems in? Right? It doesn't do you any good to restore the mission critical app if your AD server's down and nobody can authenticate to it, right? So it's trivial to say, oh, you were warned and you should have done something. But in real life, in practice, it's like turning a cruise ship around. You don't just bang a UE and call it a day. Like, it's very complicated. Okay. And some things need to be funded, takes time to get budget, all these other things. So, what I would say is that it probably won't make news, but Agco is probably going to invest heavily in cybersecurity following this event. That's almost a fact. Almost every organization invests heavily in cybersecurity right after an incident because they're like, oh my God, we don't want this to happen again. And the problem is, it's almost comical, is that it will cost them 2 to 3x to put cybersecurity in now than if they had done it prior, to prevent whatever this was. Okay. So, but maybe Agco was doing everything perfectly and they still suffered an incident, right? No one is 100% secure, guys. That's just another sad fact. Okay.
Crypto muggings. Thieves in London target digital investors by taking their phones.
Nice.
Crypto mugging is a new form of crime that involves thieves physically taking smartphones out of the hands of victims and then using the phone's crypto apps to initiate transactions, removing crypto assets from the victims' accounts. Numerous victims in London are coming forward with stories of being physically forced to unlock their smartphones using facial recognition or their own fingerprints. David Gerald, author of Attack of the 50-Foot Blockchain, a book on digital currencies, points out that cryptocurrency transfers are irreversible, unlike a bank transfer, making this type of crime more attractive to thieves.
Wow. Okay. So this is interesting. This is a new attack vector. And it's so funny to me, guys. Like, the more things change, the more they stay the same. This is no different than walking up to someone and punching them in the stomach and taking their wallet and taking the cash out of the wallet. That's all this is. They're taking their phone out of them. And then obviously, if they're forcing them to authenticate to the phone, put the pin in, do your face, whatever, then they're accosting the person. It's not like you're walking with your purse and you steal the purse and off you run, or you're holding your phone looking at it because you're lost in your phone and someone walks up and steals it and runs away. They're literally it's an encounter. This sucks. This is good for letting your end users know that this is an attack vector. Hopefully the people who are doing crypto on their phones are savvy to this, but even with crypto, I guess it's because it's irreversible. Because my initial thought is why not force you to authenticate to your bank account too and steal your money out of your bank account? But that's got different other layers of risk and audit logs associated with it. Where crypto, it's kind of irreversible. In fact, if the threat actors were able to know their wallet really easily, or they had some mechanism, they could literally drain your account and then just hand your phone back and then punch you in the stomach, right? Because they're bad guys. This is an interesting attack vector. So, guys, depending on who your end users are, you may want to advise them of this. My initial thought for protection is, I don't know, I don't know, man. Bury the app. Well, you can't bury the app. I don't know. I'd have to think about this one. There's a couple different thoughts around this, but it sucks. It sucks, right? Because basically the major way to mitigate this risk is to remove the app from your phone so they can't access it, but then you're inconvenienced as well. Have two phones, right? One phone for your crypto stuff, one phone for your life. There's that also. I don't know. Long story short, this sucks, and it's not surprising. Okay. Wait, it's definitely about the money though, right?
Straight cash, homie.
Mm-hmm.
Last week's ransomware roundup. Ransomware operations continue to evolve, with new groups appearing and others quietly shutting down their operations or rebranding as new groups. This was highlighted last week with Advanced Intel CEO Vitaly Kremez disclosing that the Conti brand, not the organization itself, just the brand, was shutting down. However, this does not mean that the threat actors themselves are retiring. Revil, or at least some of its members, appear to have relaunched the operation after a sample of their encryptor was found. In research-related news, a security researcher discovered DLL hijacking vulnerabilities in ransomware operations and releasing DLLs that can be used to terminate the encryptors before they begin encrypting files. These include Conti, the revived Revil, the newcomer Black Basta, and the highly active Lockbit, or AVOS, locker. This past week, other research released from Trellix reported that various ransomware operations are still once again being linked to North Korean government hacking groups, including the notorious Lazarus Gang. Attacks that we saw this past week include using fake Windows 10 updates to distribute Magniber ransomware and the previously mentioned attack on Agco, the agricultural machinery maker. It seems that...
Jesus. Gee. Like, this is where we're at now, guys, where, like, there are ransomware roundups. I mean, we've all known that ransomware is, like, the top threat to your organization, and it's just not getting any better, guys. The fact that we're having ransomware roundups at the end of the week, or, you know, this is Monday, so it's kind of like last week's retrospective. Yeah, there's major money in it. These guys are really good. These individuals, there could be women involved, are really good. And I'm telling you, like, it's overwhelming, guys. The only thing I can think of is what I said before with the Agco story. You need to prioritize mitigating the risk from ransomware at your organization. You need to protect to reduce the likelihood of ransomware. And in order to do that, you have to do threat modeling. So you have to understand what are the attack techniques, the TTPs, of ransomware threat actors. So look at how Conti works. Usually it's like phishes, email, drive-bys, and then you get a initial payload on your machine, then it reaches out to C2. The ways of like SamSam ransomware, where it's like SMB open and then they get in and move laterally, kind of using exploits, that happens, but it's not as much as this other technique, because the phishing and the drive-bys and stuff are so successful. So there's no reason to do cool, elite hacking stuff. And also protecting your organization from recovery, or not protecting them, but like ensuring that their recovery operations are good. But I strongly encourage you, if you are in SecOps, or you're a CISO, or if you're a CISO, you already should know this, but if you work in the field, you should definitely use this ransomware roundup as inputs into a slide on why you need to prioritize ransomware risk mitigation. The board, the CFO, CEO, they should all know the word ransomware well by this point. And this is just more fuel to the fire that increases the emphasis on the fact that this is a legit risk that needs to be managed now. This is not something that you punt to 2023 when we've got a couple extra shekels, because I'm telling you, man, it's not good, right? Can your business be, the real question is, can we be down for 6 days? Because that's the average, at least it was in 2021. 6 days. Can we be down for 6 days? Full business operations. Can we absorb 5 to 7% of our annual revenue in loss? Yes? Okay, then let's go. Hell with it. Let's go to happy hour. No need. But if that's not an acceptable risk to accept, then let's do something about it. Let's get to work. Okay? So that's all I'll say about that, man. Ransomware is gnarly. All right, guys. So a couple things to share with you. One, got a squad member. Love me some David Klein. Thanks, David Klein. All right, guys, this Wednesday at 11:30 a.m., I will be playing on ThreatGen's YouTube channel paired to Simply Cyber. So if you guys have come by and seen me play the red versus blue cybersecurity simulation, you know what I'm talking about. This will be on ThreatGen's channel, but paired on Simply Cyber. So you can catch it on either. I do work at ThreatGen now, so I am doing some initiatives over there that I'm really excited about. I switch between red and blue week over week. This week I'm red, and I've assumed the position of a hacktivist. And I am mad at oil and gas companies for destroying our natural wildlife up in North Dakota. And I will be embarrassing the oil and gas company and attempting to drive them out of business through financial loss and public shaming. That's my avatar that I will be assuming, and I'm going right after them. So if you want to hang out, I do explain my thought processes and methodology while I'm executing on the simulation. So the people who do have joined so far have enjoyed it. And as a fun fact, next week, May 18th, I'll be assuming the blue role because I'm red this week. And it will be a heads up live stream between me. This is me versus AI. Next week on the 18th, it will be me doing blue versus Josh Mason doing red. Now, he is a trained red offensive security professional. I am a trained defensive security professional and practitioner. And it will be heads up. It'll be shoutcast like an e-gaming event or e-sport event. You can follow my feed. You can follow Josh's feed, or ThreatGen will be hosting like a merge feed with commentators, color commentary, all that stuff. So it'll be an event. Okay. And let's go Team Jerry, right? Like boo, Josh Mason, go Team Jerry. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about this Thursday on Simply Cyber Live, please stay with me, by the way, because I do have a question for you guys. I really should create a, if you guys grant me some grace, I'll create a, what the hell do they call it? Like a survey? This Thursday, my guest was going to be Dr. Chase Cunningham, and we were going to talk about zero trust and explain to you everything you need to know about zero trust architecture. But unfortunately, he had a conflict, and I don't have a backup guest. Well, I kind of do, and this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. While I was getting ready for work this morning, I thought, well, what can we do as a live stream idea? And what I thought was I can have a guest on who is a cybersecurity professional I believe I can get this guy, who started a YouTube channel, and he helps people kind of the way that Simply Cyber does. And we could talk to him about how starting a YouTube channel has helped, what he's done, his thoughts on helping people. That's one good idea. The other idea that I thought, and I'm kind of excited about this one, is I was going to do just a me stream, right? So no guests, just me. And it would be like an AMA style, but the focus and bend would be GRC analyst interview questions. My SOC analyst interview questions video has been pretty successful lately. So there isn't a GRC one. And since I made the course, I'm thinking that a lot of people are getting that education, and then they might go to an interview and get asked questions. So if you guys want, I could get, 10 or 15 or 20 GRC analyst entry-level questions, and then basically interview myself for a job and explain my answers, explain why I'm answering a certain way, give you some key nuggets that you can drop on people. So let me see, YouTube cyber guest, GRC interview QA. Let's see. Here you go. I just dropped a poll. I don't do polls all that often, so I don't know if this is going to work, but I just dropped a poll in the YouTube channels. So if you guys want, please vote on that. And we'll give it a minute. While that poll is queuing up, guys, a quick question. How was the audio today? How was the music? Is 15 good for the background music? Is the microphone good? Is there a lot of echo? Was the podcast audio good? I've got sound effects good, right? The video's tight, right, guys? I feel like the video, I feel like I got the video. We're broadcasting at 1080p. I've got the cameras in the background and all that jazz. I feel like the video part's good. The audio I want to get tight. All right, so Carrie's saying it's good. So the mic's good. The background music, pretty good. All right, and then we've got the sound effects. Okay. Spa music, Daniel. Well, hopefully it's inspiring people to want to pump your podcast volume up just a couple tweaks. Okay. All right. Thanks, Kimberly. I can do that. Done. Hey, Mike Jones. Thanks, Mike. All right, guys. We're actually at a pretty interesting... hold on. Can I just show you this? How does this work? Can I do this? Can you see that now? Wait, my big head's in the way. Oh, you still can't see it. Dang. Can I do this? Pop out chat. This music is kind of like that. I can't show you guys. I'm sorry. But it's 64% GRC interview, 34% or whatever. Dude, this is getting close to 50-50. So, you know, whatever the community decides, I will execute on. That's fine with me. Like, I can do either. So, all right, guys, let me look at chat real quick. You guys are great. Okay, all right. So the music, you guys are killing me with this music. Okay, let me see if I can change the music to a different one. I don't want spa music. I don't want hold music. That sounds awful. Future pop? Okay, how's this? I don't get to choose. Come on. By the way, there's 84 of you in there, and my metrics here are saying there's 32 likes. I'm not saying I go for the likes, but come on, guys. Can we fix this, please? I mean, if you got any value out of this episode, take like 1 second and hit the like button, please. Yeah, I hear you, Nick Barker, on that. The Roots, yeah, okay. I do love the Roots. Let's do that really quick. But no, I can't. See, the thing is, I don't want to do that because I have to adjust the dial, Christopher. Oh, there we go. Thanks, guys. I just got 30 more likes or whatever. All right, so final on the survey here looks like it's 65% GRC interview and 35% YouTuber, InfoSec professional. So I'm guessing you guys are. There is a group of people who are interested in the YouTube professional. So I will schedule time with him. It might be a little bit in the future. We've got some stuff coming up. Actually, the month of May, May 23rd through May 26th, First Things First will be guest host by a couple people. I have to go off the grid for a few days. And I believe that the Thursday live stream will also be canceled that day. But so Stefan Waldvogel will be our guest next Thursday, the 19th also. So, okay. Lo-fi hip hop. All right. So this is future pop. I'm going to roll with this for a little bit. Okay. All right, guys. I'll leave the... Yeah, I'm going off grid. I will be inaccessible. I don't know, maybe I'll have cell service, but I'm basically going to go see these three friends of mine that I'm very close with, like brothers. But they're scattered all across the world, and it just happens to be a perfect storm of everybody converging on the East Coast at the same time. So we are going to go off the grid together and hang out. Any tips for my first week of my GRC job? Oh yeah, Junior. Congratulations on the GRC job. My advice to you, Junior, would be like when you're getting spun up, ask I have a video on Simply Cyber about like crushing your first 90 days. Let me see. It'd be easier for me to tell you that. Right here. I'll drop this in chat. This is the answer that you need to know. This is the answer right here. I'll put it in chat right now, okay? There you go. congratulations again on your new job. You're gonna crush it. I know it. And I think there's like 5 or 6 nuggets of gold in this video for you. So my silly face. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here for First Things First. I hope you got value. Well, I don't even know how many likes it's got now, but leave a comment. The most valuable thing that for me to say thank you, if you're interested in saying thank you, the most valuable thing for me is sharing this with other people and subscribing to the channel. I watch the metrics for this. It's mostly 50-50 on people subscribed. And we have been hovering about 100 people for the last 2 months, which is fantastic. I love that you guys all show up every morning, but I find that there's a lot of value here, and I don't know how to reach a wider audience. So that's why I guess I'm asking for your help to help a wider audience find this and find value, to find value that you guys find. So if you can, share it, and if not, that's cool. We'll be here tomorrow at 8 a.m. all the same. Let me do one quick throw a fireball at y'all, guys. Guys, it's been good. Thanks for hanging out for the extra 20 minutes. Thanks for the survey questionnaire. I'll leave the poll open for a little bit longer, and then I'll make the decision on what Thursday's live stream is going to look like. All right, guys? Y'all be good. Have a great day, and we'll see you at 8 a.m. on Tuesday. Cheers.